Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first official episode of our newest podcast for Shadow Hunters. This is Paralightning Darkcast, and we are really excited to bring you our first guest, and our first guest is Maria. Hi, Maria.
Hi, how are you, Nick? It's such a pleasure to be here and such an honor. I did not realize I was your very first guest. So otherwise, I'm your little guinea pig, huh?
Absolutely, you you are the first guest. We're really excited to have you on the
What an
show,
honor.
and
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I was jesting when I said I was a little guinea pig, but it's just amazing how the vitality that you have done and with things, your events, your presentations, and then to add this to your portfolio. I am truly honored to be a part of it, especially being the very first guest.
well, thank you very much. Yeah, it's definitely it's challenging, doing all the events and all the videos and stuff like that. But it's something I love to do. So I mean, I'll never ever get tired of it.
Good.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. How you got started into the paranormal and.
Well, it's funny because I really didn't. All my life, I've had some type of an association with the paranormal, but not formally. And I am a registered nurse, and most nurses will always admit that they've experienced something unusual or almost supernatural because they're always dealing with death and dying. Mm-hmm. So they're always associated with life experiences, relationship building very intimately, because obviously, they're known as the couriers of health and wellness and sometimes helping you to pass on to the next life. And so it was with me. I was a registered nurse. I worked a lot with gerontology, which is the medical practice with the aged, with senior citizens, with the older adults. And I did a little bit with home health care. I did a lot with hospice, which is the terminal care. As people go on, and they're not necessarily all nurses at work. And of course, I had a facility. My husband and I owned an assisted living facility, strictly for residents, older residents with dementia disorders. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, we experienced so many things that we just could not explain, and so the interest was there. I think I was more sensitive than your average Joe. Not that I'm a medium or a psychic, but my intuition is very charged.
Absolutely.
And I think for most cases, I think nurses have that. That's what draws them to want to be, to nurses, because nurses tend to be more emotionally driven, more caring individuals. So they're very much into that zone where they're much more, closely spiritual to to their patients and to the care they do. So I think that's a given. So from there, I had my experiences and I was questioning. I had a curiosity. I've always been the type of girl that whenever she went to visit a strange town, I would always look up a ghost tour because they're fun. And, you go through the history of the town and then you learn about the spooky stories. So I truly was an average Joe, a paranormal enthusiast. Then things got a little scarier. My husband and I decided to run a bed and breakfast in the state of Florida, which was considered back then and still, it's not running anymore, but I'm sure the spirits are still there. But it was considered the most haunted in the state of Florida.
Oh, wow.
And we have strong competition because we have St. Augustine. We have a lot of competition.
Mm-hmm.
So I should say one of the most haunted, I would say, to be fair. And it was on Ghost Hunters in 2008. And then that's when we really got sparked. This could be a very interesting medley here. The inn was an 1880 Victorian. It was absolutely beautiful. And it had all these artifacts from all around the world. It had artifacts from Malaysia, from China, from Bali. And we're talking about very incredible artifacts built into the walls because the previous owners were international pirates. And they would bring in pieces from, from temples that they were knocking down, or from historical buildings that were ended up in the fields. So for them to be as pirates, they were cargo pilots. It was nothing for them to bring these pieces back, and they would just have them to the texture of the inn, and that's why our inn was so well loved, because it was so gorgeous inside.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, it also contributed a lot to the haunting. This inn was owned by, the original building was owned by a very prominent German family in the Ocala, Florida area. He served as, I think, the first mayor, and he was also the founder of the Chamber of Commerce. Just a trail of, he's a trailblazer in the city of Ocala, and this is at the turn of the century. So this is the house that he lived in, and then later on his wife kept it, and his brother kept it as well for a period of 50 years. So the Reinauers were there for 50 years, and boy, oh boy, they were still there. Mm-hmm. And very active. Nick, this is a place that when I actually put on a DVD recorder to try to catch EVP, I was successful, I would say 90% of the time.
Oh, wow.
With a Class A EVP. Back then, I didn't know what that was, but all I know is that they were talking back to me, and they were extremely intelligent. They were, so guests came out and said, "Oh, we saw you on Ghost Hunters, so we want to explore and stay at your inn." They said, "Can you show us what the spirits do?" I would be so happy. I just give them a free ghost hunt every night they stayed. And I would just take out all our tools, and it was just amazing. And that's what it got the reputation of being such an active, in a good way, active property. And that's when I really, really became a little bit more sophisticated with, the haunted and paranormal experiences. We dealt with a lot of mediums that came to us. And we just, became a little bit more just sophisticated, and also got to realize that the haunted was a very important part in historical preservation. Mm-hmm. Because if it wasn't for people that were interested in coming to talk to our ghosts, they wouldn't be helping us to support it on a business level.
Oh, absolutely.
Booking a room that night or coming to one of our events. And not that I use it as a method to exploit the haunted. That's not what we do. What we do is we say they are part of the haunted. They are part of the history. And they wanted just as much as I did to preserve this property because they loved it. And we realized that. So they were actually engaged with us as almost partners of demonstrating the haunted and especially to people that visited us. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Very nice. Yeah, I didn't even know that you ran a haunted inn.
Yes. Yes. It was very, It was so wonderful. I mean, the experiences were there. I mean, everywhere from apparitions to disembodied voices to constantly you would hear footsteps upstairs. And sure enough, there was nobody upstairs. And most of them, Nick, were in the middle of the day. And in fact, I always was surprised because you expect it to be in the middle of the night, you know, 3 o'clock in the morning. And they weren't. They were actually, I would say they started around 11 o'clock in the morning and they ended around 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, wow.
And they were heightened around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm not kidding you. This is when it really, you know, became very, very relevant, you know, very, very pronounced. One time, I'll tell you a quick story, because we all love little monkey stories, don't we? I was sitting in the parlor, and I was doing something, and we had like a foyer. You know, that's how old Victorians are. You know, you have a foyer with a staircase, and then the first room you go into is the parlor. So I was sitting in the parlor doing something silly, and all of a sudden I said, "Oh my gosh, I've got a honey to do list." I thought about something that my husband had to do. So I heard his voice in the parlor. I'm sorry, in the foyer, which was right next to me. I heard his voice with somebody else, and I thought he was just talking to, I don't know, maybe, someone, a handyman or someone, you know, I don't know who he was talking to, but he definitely I heard his voice, and then I heard him. It was kind of muffled, so I heard it, not distinctly the verbiage, but the one word that I did hear extremely clear was Maria. It was my name.
Oh, wow.
And for sure, I thought it was my husband. And so I jumped up on my chair because I wanted to catch him before he ran away to give him the honey to-do list, you know. And when I went and I ran into the foyer, and there was nobody there. And so I said, okay, this is crazy. I just heard my husband, and he was talking to somebody, and they were right next door to me, right in the foyer. So I go outside to the porch, you know, where the front door was, and there was nobody outside. There was nobody in the porch. And I called my husband. I said, "Are you here anywhere?" He says, "No, I'm at home." I said, "Okay." I was a little, you know, at that point, I was a little stirred. And then all of a sudden, my housekeeper, she was there was one room we had downstairs, and one of the guest rooms. And I guess she was making a bit of something. She comes down, she says, "Maria, I heard it too." And that's when I knew I wasn't going crazy.
Oh, no.
I said, "Did you really?" He said, "Yeah." There were the two men talking, and they said your name.
That's interesting.
So, yeah, that was just one experience. We had, oh my gosh, so many, many experiences. Playful children. We identified 7 resident spirits there, and they were always there. And there was always the leader of the pack. His name was Ben Ranauer, and to this day, I feel, because we no longer run the building, we don't run the business anymore, but I became very close to them, and just because they almost become part of your family. Like, have you ever noticed that when you investigate a place, they almost become like your friends, like you know them.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you feel them and you know them, and that's how I felt about them. You know, and I think they felt very comfortable with us because we always honored them. You know, we always spoke about what they did to the community, how they contributed to the community, what accomplishments they had. And I'll tell you another story. This one includes someone that we all know and love, and his name is John Sappis, and he's known as the Haunted Collector. And he was visiting us one time for, I think it was an event, and he was sitting with a group of people, and they called for me, and I came into the room. They were happened to be at the parlor also, he was running an EVP session. And they said, Maria, no, I'm sorry. He was running a ghost box session. He says, Maria, I need you to come here because they're talking in Spanish.
Oh.
I go, really? That's kind of weird. And I know Spanish fluently.
Mm-hmm.
So I came over and I started listening to the conversation. They were connecting with our questions in Spanish. And so what I asked them in Spanish, who are you? What is your name? Do you live here? The typical questions, you ask.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out that his name was Jose. And I said, did you live here? He says, I visited. And this is all in Spanish.
Oh, wow.
Well, this is a really cool story because the Reinauers met a man by the name of Jose Marti. If anybody is listening that are Cuban Americans or even Latin American, Jose Marti is one of the most respected and most loved and beloved freedom fighters that Latin America ever had. He was Cuban American, and in fact, if you fly into Havana, Cuba, you will actually go into the Jose Marti International Airport. That's how famous he is.
Oh, wow.
Well, him and the Reinauers became partners because Jose Marti knew that the only way that Cuba would gain wealth is through their tobacco, because they did have the most fabulous tobacco. So the Reinauers, being entrepreneurs, said, we're going to make a deal here, and I want you to bring your workers here to Ocala and your seeds, etc., and we will grow it here because we have the climate, and we will roll the cigars here, and we'll make it an empire for you. And they call it Marti City, which is right in Ocala.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't survive. Later, they had to take us down south because of the weather. It is now what they call Ybor City in Tampa, which is very famous for their cigars. The Cuban American population in Tampa they all seem to live in. It's a big entertainment center called Ybor City. But anyway, the bottom line is, Marti spent a lot of time in that house. And so I actually was talking to the very famous Jose Marti, which is very, very cool.
Wow.
It's very, very cool. And John Salvis knew of Jose Marti.
Oh, that's cool.
So he was very, very, he gloated. Yeah.
Very nice. Now, I was going to ask you, do you know, because we know them really, really well, Terry and Tracy, ESP?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think it was Terry. I think, yeah.
And I knew Doc as well.
Yeah,
of course.
Doc.
And
yeah.
I'm still troubled by that. We lost Doc and Ken Ted. And he was a physician. I don't know if you realize that or not. And I'm a nurse. So we had a lot in common,
Oh, absolutely.
So we spoke a lot about the physiology and the science of the haunted because of our training and background. So that was good. Yes, but he left a legacy with ESP. So I'm very, I know the girls very well.
Oh yeah, we love excuse me, we love Terry and Tracy. They did an investigation with us over at the Pollock Hospital in Peoria, Illinois. We got so much evidence with them. It was great. They're really, really great people, and they really know their stuff.
They're professionals.
Mm-hmm.
And and they were one of our biggest supporters at the Seven Sisters Inn. And of course, when we had to give up the management of the inn, they were very saddened, and we were too, of course, but they were as sad as we were because we were one of their favorite spots,
Gotcha.
And spent many, many hours working with them, and they inherited a lot of our friends because of that. We developed kind of a little bit of a fan club, among a lot of the experts out there, Brian Cano and Scott Pepperman and,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of all the folks that had such George Lopez, Andrea Cameron, people that we became close friends of us through the end. We came almost like a little bit. I don't want to call it almost like a a posse,
Mm-hmm.
a tribe of seven sisters and lovers, because that place is extraordinary. It's very, very special. So they became part of our tribe, and it was very good, very excellent memories.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that'd be fun to go out to Florida. I've only been to Florida once when I was younger, but I would love to go to Florida and do some investigating out there. I always tell Terry and Tracy, I'm like, I'm gonna come live with you guys in Florida because I hate the Illinois weather.
Oh, I know. It is. Right now it's pretty crappy. Well, we still live in Florida, but we are relocating. In fact, our permanent home is going to be a little bit closer to you, Nick. It's going to be in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
And, yes, and our house is 150 years old. It's a historic house as well. And it's also extremely spirited. I've actually had I've only had the experience of seeing an apparition twice in my life. I guess I'm fortunate because most people haven't even had one. So I've had two, and it wasn't because I was investigating. It just happened to happen, and I just looked and I said, okay, that's not, nobody should be there. And sure enough, one occurred in our new house, well, our 150-year-old house in Ohio, and the other one was in a relative's house. That I had gotten up in the middle of the night, and I saw somebody walk into the kitchen, and sure enough, there was nobody there. But that was very distinctive. Both were distinctive, full body apparitions, not a mist. It was full body, full details, and I thought they were a person, and they in fact was not, because they weren't found. When I went to check back where they ended up at, they were not there. So it was very interesting. Yeah. So we'll be closer to. So Nick, I'll invite you. You're only going to be
Sounds good.
5 hours from Ohio. Yeah. So you need to come over and explore.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're by,
It's quite, yes.
Yeah, we would definitely love to. Yeah, we're right by. We're about, I don't know, a good 45, 50 minutes from Chicago is where we live. So, I mean, Ohio is pretty close. The last time I went to Ohio is when we went to Cedar Point. Their big amusement park. But yeah, that was the only time we ever went to Ohio. But yeah, we're definitely looking to go to other states and do some exploring and investigating and stuff. Now, you also do something that's called World's Largest Ghost Hunt. What is World's Largest Ghost Hunt?
Start recording.
Oh, yep, we are good. But I was asking, what is? I know you do something called World's Largest Ghost Hunt. What is that all about?
The World's Largest Ghost Hunt actually started as a byproduct of our originating business. And what you're talking about, Nick, you're saying about visiting other places and going outside our state, going to Florida, going to the Midwest, going to the Northeast. This, our earth is speckled with so many wonderful haunted places. And a lot of them are like, haunted bed and breakfasts, museums, historical organizations, etc. And they all basically rely on tourism in order to survive. And we were living testimony to that. So we created, once we left the Haunted Journeys, we said, we can't let this go because there are many people struggling just to keep these historical properties alive. So we said, we have a hard time marketing that we were a haunted inn because a lot of people don't want to go to a haunted hotel. They get freaky with that. There's a population that just will not go. So a lot of innkeepers don't tell people that we're haunted, but they are. And so wouldn't it be nice to find a safe and secure place to advertise that you do have some spooks in there and you welcome, ghost hunters. And from that, the birth of Haunted Journeys came out. So Haunted Journeys is a website that is basically a catalog of everything that is haunted. You can come and visit us at hauntedjourneys.com. And we're there. We have haunted hotels, ghost tours, haunted places to visit, haunted paranormal events. We've got it all listed there. And essentially, so if I'm going to go to Illinois and I want to get a trail of haunted things to do there, I would just pull up my app or my website, whatever is easier, and I would create basically a journey, a journey to places to visit. So that was about 4 or 5 years ago. We just launched it out in its full view just in Halloween of this year. Because it took us 4 years, Nick, to gather so much data, so much information. I mean, you can imagine. And I've got about 4 to 5,000 locations listed. So that being said, about 3 years ago, I said, how are we going to put Haunted Journeys on the map? What could we possibly do to engage with So continuing on, I said, what can we do? Let's do something on National Ghost Hunting Day. And then when we researched it, there was no such thing. And it was National Paranormal Day, but that includes the UFOs and the big fuzzy guys. I forgot what they call the cryptoids or whatever. And I said, no, we need something for just the haunted, to celebrate the ghost hunters out there and what they do. And that's when we went ahead and we actually got it commissioned in what we call the official national calendar of celebrated things. So National Popcorn Day, National Hot Dog Day, National Dog Walking Day, and then there's National Ghost Hunting Day. Nice. And it's always on the last Saturday of September. So when we had our very first National Ghost Hunting Day, we said, what can we possibly do to make everybody realize there's a National Ghost Hunting Day? And we thought about, well, what about the nation's largest ghost hunt? Or America's largest ghost hunt. And I go, wow, that's great. So all we have to do is get a couple of folks, a couple of teams scattered, one in Maine, one in Florida, one in Illinois, one in Kentucky, and we all ghost hunt at the very same time. And that shouldn't be too hard, and we can just do that for fun. And then I talked to one of my mentors, and his name, and you may know him, is Brian Cano. He became a friend, from the inn, and he's very much of an intellect. And I said, Brian, Maria, you're missing out on a great opportunity. And I go, what? He says, don't keep this in the USA. Let's make this the world's largest ghost hunt. And I go, okay. And then I started getting a chill down my spine. How am I going to pull this thing off? Because not only are you talking about getting all these people to join up, I don't know anybody in England. I don't know anybody in India. And he says, don't worry about that. I know people out there. let's just get it organized.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but what about the time zones? Because this is a shotgun start. In other words, everybody does the ghost hunt at the very same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went through the logistics. In year one, and Brian was with us. He was with us on our command center. We had 70 teams from around the world, which is quite an accomplishment for the first time,
Oh,
you
wow.
know? And then we were in 5 countries. And then year 2, we were in 10 countries, but we had about 90 people. So we added another 20.
Mm-hmm.
Well, year 3, it took off. And in year 3, we had a little bit over 150 teams
Oh, wow.
around the world in 13 countries. Yes. And what was special about year 3, which was last year, was that we had 6 of the 7 continents. We actually had a team in South Africa.
Ooh.
So we had the countries that were involved was South Africa, of course, the United States, Colombia, Ireland, Sweden, England, Scotland, the Philippines, India, Malaysia, and Australia. So that was quite a handful from around the world. And, I didn't mention Sweden. Yes, Sweden. So, I left off. So, one of the things that one of the things that occurred that Brian actually was the inspiration for this was the collective consciousness effect.
Oh, yeah.
I had no clue what that was. I was just a little old girl trying to put all these people together into one big ghost hunt.
Mm-hmm.
He said, no, it's the collective consciousness that raises the vibration so high, the energy so high, that spirits will find it easier to talk to us. That was the theory. And it was true. It was absolutely true. And every year it gets better and better. And last year we had some tremendous evidence that came through. Nick, it's funny because you have all these, let's talk about a TV show. We'll call it ABC Ghost Hunters. I don't want to point one out because it's not fair. But you look at all these episodes of all these shows that they do. How many times on the screen do you see an apparition? Hardly ever.
Right.
That's your answer. Okay? Well, during last year's ghost hunting, Royal Forest's Ghost Hunt, I have pictures of 2 teams that caught the most amazing apparitions. And I'm talking about 3 apparitions were caught on film. And one of them was in the UK at an abbey, an old abbey in England. The second one was a picture of, and the first one, by the way, in the abbey, was 2 couples actually embracing each other. You can see their form holding each other.
Mm-hmm.
In Gettysburg, an apparition was caught of a soldier in Gettysburg. I am not kidding you. 100% details of a soldier with a hat on, military. It was in the basement of their Gettysburg campground.
Oh, wow.
And then the third was an apparition in a bed and breakfast in the state of Florida. And as they're going down the steps and they were taking pictures, and there's a little girl sitting in a chair in the foyer, and that was not one of them. And it's clear as day. So when I asked you how many times you see an apparition, right?
Right.
In one of these ghost shows, and in 2 hours with the collective consciousness, we capture 3 apparitions out of 150 teams, which is pretty amazing.
That's really good.
It really is. So I always tell people, you want a sure shot for good evidence, you join the World's Largest Ghost Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And which brings me, if you are interested in becoming there's no fee. We don't charge a fee for this. All we do, this is a fundraiser. And this is what makes it so wonderful. We spend a lot of money with this. We really do. We spend it because we see this as our contribution every year to help us. Of course, we welcome sponsors, and we're looking for sponsors this year to help us. But we don't charge the properties, and we don't charge the teams a single dime. This is all done on a volunteer basis by everyone, and the money that they collect at the site go back 100% to the location.
Very nice.
We consider this a donation for historic preservation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what makes it very special. So not only is it because it's a phenomenal event for ghost hunting, unseen anywhere else, unmatched anywhere else, but it's also because it's a fantastic mechanism to do historic preservation, fundraising. Yeah.
Absolutely. I really like the idea. When I first heard of that, I was like, how are they going to do this? World's Largest Ghost. But I mean, after watching it for a couple of years and all that stuff, and it really has taken off, which is really, really great.
People come together, Nick. People and the people that do this are the people that are not more, they really care about what they do,
mm-hmm.
as opposed to wanting their 15-minute fame on a ghost hunting show.
Exactly.
That's the kind of people that this draws, because this is not a 15-minute presentation. This is a month of preparation.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a lot for these, for these teams to put this together. It does, coordination and working. But what we've established is that all these teams that work together, on this one day, we all become friends.
Mm-hmm.
And we, if I ever have a chance to go to Australia, oh my God, I've got hugs waiting for me, and I have hugs waiting to give them, because we become such spiritual friends. We're separated by thousands and thousands of miles, but we become spiritually very, very close. And so as the team from Florida, they hang out with the team from Europe, and they ask questions. We become friends. We become colleagues, and around the world, and that really is after a byproduct, an end byproduct that is pretty phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely! It's such a great idea, and like you said, like everybody working together and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like with our team and stuff, we this going back to the whole TV thing, we don't care to be on TV. That's not what ghost hunting's about and all that stuff. And like with us, we performed at our local theme park and stuff like that, and we had such a great time doing that.
That was so amazing, Nick, because what you did, you were an ambassador to the people that think that ghost hunting is about chasing demons up in an old abandoned place.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they think, because that's what they see on TV. You were there as an ambassador of information, teaching just regular folks that ghost hunting is not what we see on TV. You show them. You were a public educator. And that is so amazing, Nick, and you should be absolutely celebrated for doing that. And what a great thing. What a great idea. When you said you were going to do that, Nick, I said, rock on, brother, because I said, that is such a cool
well, it was
to really, really do public education.
Oh, absolutely. It was such a great time, like doing the show there, and being there for Fright Fest and stuff, and it was so much fun. And you you get to meet all these new people and all that. And we have met so many great friends, you know, working at the park, the people working there,
Yeah.
but also the guests too that came to the park. They were just, you know, we had a lot of guests come up to us after the show, and you know, they were very interested in stuff like that. And it was just, it was such a great time. And you know, like how you explained that. That's what we're trying to do. Teach people about ghost
Yeah.
hunting. Not everything is
Yeah.
what you see on TV and all that stuff. And that's what we like to
Exactly.
do.
Exactly. But you're getting people at a level, because I know you did during their horror nights, correct?
Yeah.
So they already like that whole thing about spookiness and horror, etc. But then you're presenting them reality. This is reality. This is what it's all about.
Hmm.
You know, it's and with you out there getting spooked, and that's fun. Yeah, it's fun. That's entertainment. But what I have is reality, the real ghost hunting, the real stuff. And you don't have to make it up because it's always there, right?
Oh, exactly. Hmm. And we did get some stuff at the park too. Some of our equipment was going off and stuff.
Really?
Oh
That's
yeah.
fun. Yeah, yeah. You know, it's funny because there is a park in Cincinnati called Ghost Hunters. I'm sorry, Ghost Hunters. What am I talking about? It's called, you need to take that piece off. Anyway, it's called Kings Island.
Oh
Kings
yeah.
Island is it's very famous, right? Yeah, yeah, you know Kings Island.
Hmm.
And they have a really fun Halloween night. And but also Kings Island is known, if you do any research and you put in haunted Kings Island, it is extremely haunted. There have been several deaths there. And in fact, some of the people that work there actually died not in the park, but not because of a ride, just natural causes.
Hmm.
But they were very, very close to the park. They loved the park. So it is said, the legend says that these hauntings at Kings Island, and that would be a magnificent thing to tell them to do something like what you do. It would be a wonderful project for them to consider doing it. It's a good balance to what they offer, with the
Hmm.
spooky horror stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was definitely a surprise when we got the call the next day, and I was like, okay.
Are you going to do that again this year?
We're
Something that.
we're hoping. We haven't really heard any answers yet. I don't even know if there's talk about it yet, but we have our fingers crossed to go back to the park, and we have
Mm-hmm.
we have a couple different things that we would change for the show. For example,
Mm-hmm.
we would actually be using the SLS camera on the big screen, because we actually just built one of the SLS cameras, and the thing with the Xbox Connect and stuff. And
Right, right. Those are so much fun,
oh yeah,
and they're very engaging.
oh
If
yeah.
people they actually see the spirits, right?
Yep, they could see. It'll show as kind of like a stick figure. So our plan is
Mm-hmm.
we would actually face it towards the audience and have them all see the stick figures, and then see if anything randomly appears above them or by them or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like change the show up a little bit, but yeah, definitely give the guest their great time and stuff like that, and really really teach them about ghost hunting and stuff. And like I said, that's what we're all about.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right.
Hmm.
And it's such good technologies. Just the last, 5 years.
Hmm.
Amazing technologies in the spirit world, and so there's a lot of interest in research and development of technologies to prove, that their existence, and certainly the most important part of that equipment is our senses, being able to
Oh,
feel
absolutely. Yeah,
ourselves.
there's so many things
Mm-hmm.
that like we have learned with like the different equipment that we use. I don't know, have you ever heard of the Estes method?
Yes,
We do the
yes.
Estes method all the time, and we always get such good results on that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think there was a group out of Michigan that did it for the world's largest ghost hunt on their second hour. So that's really interesting. And getting good results, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Like it's weird because what it does is, you put the headphones on and then you put the blindfold on and you have the spirit box. You can either use the
Mm-hmm.
SB7 or the SB11. All you do
Mm-hmm.
is you want to make sure that you have the noise cancellation headphones so you can't really hear anything that's going on the outside world. So while all that's going on, it's kind of like the spirits block the other senses and they make it, it's like it makes your sixth sense pop out. And we have had it
Mm.
where, and I know other teams have had it too, where it's almost like the spirits will actually speak through you, and all of a sudden you start randomly blurting out all this random stuff. And the whole point of it is, while you have the noise cancellation headphones, who's ever in your party or in your group, they'll start asking you questions. Are you here? Are you male? Are you female? And all of a sudden you're answering their questions, but you can't hear them.
Oh.
So it's really really cool how it's done and all that. I've done it for our group numerous times, but every time I do it, I can only do it for a little bit because
Mm.
I notice that I am kind of sensitive and I can really sense stuff. I'll start feeling very sick. I'll start feeling nauseous, and I can only do it for so long. And then after that, I was like,
Really?
nope, I gotta stop.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
But I think for because this October will actually be 14 years that we have been doing shadow hunters and anything with the ghost hunting, paranormal, and I think the
Mm.
more you do it, the more it'll open up your mind to different experiences and really opening up that sixth sense.
And you develop a relationship with the spirit world,
Mm-hmm.
which is absolutely necessary.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. It's
yeah.
it's always nice to know who you're talking to, and always give them respect. And
Right.
and like we always say too on our when we do our public ghost hunts, we always say we're working on their time. They're not working on our time. If they want to speak to you or
Mm-hmm.
let you know that they're there, they'll let you know. But if not, then no. I mean, it's not when you go on an investigation, you're not gonna get something every single time. It's just that's not how it works.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like, all of a sudden you get people coming into your house. There's that movie called The Others
Mm-hmm.
with Nicole Kidman. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And all this time you're thinking that they're the ones that were haunted.
Mm-hmm.
And actually they were the hunter. They
Oh
were a
yeah.
haunter. It's such a great movie, but that puts it into perspective because it says, they're living their lives in that space. And I mean, that's one of the theories, obviously. And for you to interrupt them and say, hey, we want to know your name and how you died. It's like, okay, who are you? It really is a very, that in itself can be, I don't want to call it disrespectful, but intrusive. So it's really important to develop a relationship, and that's, one thing when you hunt the same place, when you hunt the same place over and over again, it's almost like picking the call, calling your mom, and talking to her. It's exactly the same experience because you are picking up the recorder and having a conversation with them as part of as far as them being part of your family or your kinship. So yeah, it's
Oh,
very much.
absolutely. Um, and now something too is you do a site. It's called Thriller Events.
Yeah.
We have had our event on there, and it went so well. Everybody saw the website. It was very very easy to go to, very easy to purchase tickets off of. So what kind of
Yeah.
led you to do a website just for like paranormal based events?
Well, it's because I felt like there was a disconnect with the event. There's so many events out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you just don't know where to go and find your events. You don't know what's near you. You don't know what's happening this month. There's not one comprehensive place. And, I started like 4 years ago, the Paranormal Events app-driven website, group page on Facebook. And I said, yeah, this is fine and dandy to put your event here. But how do you know what's near you?
Right.
Because you don't have that. There's just no mechanism to really seek that out on a Facebook page, group page.
Right.
So I said, what we need is not just one place. Yeah, you can go to Eventbrite and you can put in haunted and hopefully you'll find something. But not everybody puts the word haunted in their title.
Right.
Not everybody puts the word ghost on their title. So it's really, really hard to find these events anywhere. And what I also heard is that these events they need something that's far beyond posting on a group page, and that is help with marketing. And not that I'm going to be their 100% marketer. I can't do that. And, with everybody. But what I can do is market the heck out of thriller events. And that way, when they come over to see that, they can look inside the map and see what's near them.
Mm-hmm.
Or they can look at the calendar and see what's coming up. And we're just getting started, Nick. And thank you so much for being one of my pioneers in our work. And I hope, and thank you for your feedback, because that's important. It's easy to use, etc. We don't typically, the fees are usually paid by the attendees, as they are with Eventbrite.
Mm-hmm.
And the fees are exactly what Eventbrite charges. No difference. It's down to the penny. Because I didn't want to devalue myself and say we're cheaper than Eventbrite. No, we're not cheaper. We're the same price, but we give you a lot more bang for your dollar than Eventbrite will ever do. And I think it's also great, like, if your ticket is, let's say Mojo is in New York and he's just checking out an event in New York, but when he pops up Thriller Events, he sees all the other stuff there. He goes, wait a minute, maybe I can go to Ohio,
Right.
So it opens up opportunities everywhere. We're hoping it's thriller.events, not thrillerevents.com. A lot of people get that confused. It's thriller.events. And we're hoping to, in about the spring, to start really putting a lot of events down. You were one of my little guinea pigs. And hoping to make it better and better. And I think you got a lot of value from them because you got a lot of special attention, which I will continue to do so. But when we start getting a little busier, hopefully it'll run itself a lot more. I don't have to, handhold every single event. But I actually do that because I want them to succeed. Because if they succeed, I succeed.
Absolutely.
And so I go in there, I optimize it, I put extra words in there, things that will drive traffic to search engine optimization with Google. So I do things to try to make them more successful. But in the spring, we will be introducing ghost tours. So ghost tours around the country, metaphysical events, gallery, medium galleries, etc. So we're going to, right now, I'm kind of just focusing on ghost tours and paranormal events. But I kind of want to start opening up my wings. And one thing that somebody suggested that we needed, and it was a really good suggestion, is the horror conventions. The horror conventions and the haunted houses in the fall. So
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be something else that I think, well, and thank you for mentioning that because that's our new puppy, a new girl, and I always forget to mention her.
No,
So,
absolutely. It was really good when we put our lodge event on there. We had so many people there, and the tickets look really cool because somebody printed out one of the tickets, and it's got like the event on there, and then it says your event, your name, their name, and all that stuff. But it was
yeah.
a lot of people said it was very, very easy to go on there. It was very easy to get tickets. There were no problems, no nothing like that. So definitely, anytime we have an event, we're gonna put it on Thriller Events.
Well, thank you. And another thing that's really cool, which I love, we are notorious. You know, you got the same thing like I do. It's called procrastination. We all have that.
Oh yeah.
And so we wait till the very end because we don't know if we're going to be deathly ill or we're going to have a snowstorm or we don't know what's going to happen.
hmm
So we wait to the very end to book our tickets.
hmm
Well, our Thriller events have the ability that they can actually buy very inexpensively an insurance. And the insurance is like $2 or $3, which is not that expensive. It depends on the cost of
Right.
it, but the average is around $2 or $3. And what's nice about it is if you get sick or your car breaks down or you're caught in a snowstorm, whatever, and you can't make it over to the event, as long as you can, show proof of that, you get your money back,
hmm
100%. So for event managers, that's a plus because you don't have to offer refunds because that's a lot of heartache for event managers. If you start allowing on the refunds, you're going to end up in a situation where, you've got a bunch of empty seats and you didn't sell tickets and they all cancel at the last minute. You can't possibly do that because you've got to pay for your stuff.
Right.
So that's a really nice treat. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, it definitely a great website, and I love for the fact that you can go to a website that's just paranormal events. Like a lot of like you were saying, you could type in, well, what's a paranormal event close to me, blah blah blah, and you'll get
Yes.
all this misjumbled communication. You have no clue what's going on. But like on your
Mm-hmm.
website that you did, the Thriller events, like you can search exactly what you want, and it shows everything across the screen, like what's coming up. And the cool thing that I like how you put on there too is you put what each event is about. So like on ours, you
Yeah.
put like for Spirits in the Spring, you put fundraiser, and for all these other things. So like you actually know kind of like what your money or whatever it is
Yeah.
going towards.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It kind of helps. And let's say you want to go to an event that has only the Tennessee rat chasers. If you put TWC on the search, they're gonna pop up. So
Mm-hmm.
you'll be able to see where the talent goes. You can follow the talent. On the search, and either put in the states,
Mm-hmm.
or you can just go through the map and see whatever laid out. So and right now it's not real impressionable because it's only in the Midwest.
Right.
But eventually, when we go, hopefully all over the United States, they'll be able to be more significant as far as location is concerned.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so
And
thank you.
speaking of
Thank
them,
you.
they're coming out here in Antioch in May, right? Yeah. With
Yes. Yeah.
Aaron Shriver, he's doing in U.S. Paranormal. They're doing the event in Antioch called Hunt the Town, which is that's really cool. Um,
Yes.
I'm really excited to kind of see what they capture and stuff like that. And
And we're
we're
going to be there. Yeah, we're going to be there.
oh nice.
I wish we can be. I'm not sure if I can make it to yours in the springs. because that's my wedding anniversary. I don't know. It just depends on a lot of factors. But I would love
Oh
to
yeah,
come out
absolutely.
and see
Well,
you there.
see now
Um,
we'll finally meet in Antioch because we have a vendor table there. So we're gonna be there too.
oh, fabulous, fabulous. So, have you heard what we're going to do now? I don't know if I can pull this off, but I'm going to try. So, this may be egg in my face, but I don't care. I'll try. What we're going to have we call it what do we call it? A haunted. Um, it's a tent, but we're calling it something else sexier. It's not a tent, but it's a tent, and you go inside, and we're gonna have the virtual reality goggles that you put on, and you can visit haunted places all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have that ready for you. So actually, when you go into our tent, it'll be spooky, and you can put the 3D goggles on your face, and you can actually go into different haunted places. So yeah,
Very nice.
no one has ever done that before, and I'm kind of scared. And hopefully it'll work. Hopefully it will work.
Very nice. I'm sure it will. I'm sure the technology will be there and stuff like that, and especially with like what do they have? It's called like the Oculus Rift now or something like that, and it's like all virtual reality. My cousin Dan, he actually designs video games and stuff like that, and he showed me this thing the other day, and I'm standing there, I was like, all right, I'm getting really dizzy, but I actually feel like you're flying a plane or anything like that. So
Yeah.
all this
Have
technology
you
that's coming
seen?
out.
Yeah. Have you seen haunted places? They
I
have some with haunted places. You should look them up.
I think
It's
I think I'm gonna have
crazy.
to
It's
try that.
crazy. You feel like you're walking through a silence. Oh, it's really fun. Yeah, it's crazy. So
Very
talk
nice.
about getting nauseous.
Well, Maria, I just want to thank you so much for being our first guest for Paralightning Darkcast. We're really excited to do this new show, and thank you so much for for being our first guest on the show too.
Oh, I am, again, I know I'm using that word quite a bit, but that's truly how I feel. Very honored and blessed to be a part of your new show, and for supporting us in all that we do. Nikki's have always been there. World's Largest Ghost Hunt, Haunted Journeys, now Thriller Events. You've been part of our journey, and it's guys like you that support others that make a difference in our paranormal world and in our paranormal industry. So keep the good work. I'm sure you make your mama proud. If not, I'm proud for her. And just keep doing all the magnificent work you're doing in it, public education, through podcasts, through your work with Six Flags, all that stuff, and all the work you do with your teams. You are an ambassador to excellence in paranormal, and thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
But yeah, well, again, thank you so much for being on the show. Now, real quick before we end, where can people find out more about your stuff?
Oh, well, the one spot place to go to is if you put in hauntedjourneys.com, it's all there. You'll see the world's largest ghost hunt. You'll see all the different stuff there, and eventually we're even going to throw events underneath that umbrella. So it's hauntedjourneys.com. And if you want to contact me, you can contact me through Facebook. We have a page, Haunted Journeys, or Maria. I'm known lovingly as Geister Maria Schmidt. And you can probably message me, or you can send me an email at info@hauntedjourneys.com. And thank you for allowing me to share that.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you again, Maria, and I hope you're enjoying the nice Florida weather. we just had an ice storm yesterday, so we're getting ice over here.
I'm so sorry.
But yeah,
It was going to be spring. It was going to be spring. It will still be the Springs, and that's where we'll celebrate on April 13th.
All right, sounds good. Well, we'll talk to you later, Maria.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.